It's a wonderful experience in knowing how to live this thing in such a way to know and realize that it is this thing that is living itself through us.
Yes.
In such a way that you don't have to have these definite breaks to where you stop to pray. You got to go into a certain mode and ritual and stance, or when you visualizing that you have to have a certain role that you play, or there's a certain position that you have to be in, or a certain thing that you have to say or do. You know, there's a wonderful experience to know how to live this thing in such a way that you know that it is always living itself through you, in you, and as you, that you walk in what Joyce Smith calls practicing the presence.
Yes.
And when you're practicing the presence, you know, you just stay stuck in it and stay stuck on. Then you know that you're always praying, because every thought is a prayer. Every thought is a prayer even before that word is uttered and spoken. But when you're speaking, you are just praying. Every time a word goes out of your mouth, you're praying. And it's a wonderful experience in God to know that every word that goes forth out of your mouth is created. Every thought and then word is created, going out and bringing back. You know, what you send out comes back.
Yes, it does.
So this morning we know that we have sent out a thought of knowing that we're here by divine appointment, under divine anointment, and that there's something that is here to meet us that is called the Holy Spirit, the manifestation of Jesus as the Christ. In the form and manifestation as His wisdom through our mind is going to lift us up higher. Higher to where? To that place that we call, in this workshop concept, the finishing room. Amen?
Amen.
So let Him continue to finish and work a job on us. So in the end, when we leave here, what we're going to practice is living this thing, so that when we walk out of here, we smell like, feel like, sound like, walk like, talk like our demonstration.
Yes.
Fulfilled and manifested.
Yes.
And so it is.
And so it is.
So, do you have a pass-off that has the outline of the lessons that we've covered so far?
Yeah.
Well, that's the essence of our talk today, so you should have that in front of you. And what it has is all of the lessons that we've covered since we started in January. We're in March now. So let's review this, and then we'll close, not to close, but at the end of this, the last topic down there for today says write the vision, right?
Yeah.
Do you see that? Journalizing. Write the vision. Journalizing. Did you have a second pass out? Okay, the second, well, there's one called The Law and the Promise, chapter 4. There is no fiction. Okay, that was emailed to you, right? So you have that already in your computer. That was emailed to you. Some people don't have access to downloading this stuff and printing it out on their computer, so you have it here today. You can set that aside. We won't be dealing with this. This is your lesson for next week. The one that says there is, we picked it up from the table today, there is no fiction. That's for next week. I want you to read it and study it, because we're going to go deeper into that next week. But it captures the essence of what we want to talk about today. And we're dealing with this year, as we have always done, in series. You remember, we always have week number 1, week number 2, week number 3, or 4, 5, or 6 in this series with a basic theme. And the theme changes, right? And the number of the lessons in that series might start back numbered 1, 2, 3, 4 in that series, in that theme. The theme what we covered first was Freedom, feeling is the secret, based on the book by Neville. Feeling is the secret, right?
Yes.
So the lesson number 1 was the law and its operation, chapter 1 of that book. The topics that follow are not, parallel to the chapters in the book. These were lessons developed out of that chapter. Lesson number 2 was a world of your own. Lesson number 3, it's already done. Lesson number 4, prayer and sleep part 1, and prayer and sleep part 2. Those 5 lessons completed a series. And then the next heading or next thing was what? Healing meditation. So when we started with healing meditation, we did a practice in healing meditation. Remember that? And we went to that what? Finishing room. Well, that started a whole new series on the spot. We can turn the heat off probably. And so lesson number 1 was finishing room. We didn't know that was going to be the topic until we went to the finishing room, which in essence to us is the upper room. It's that place in consciousness. And it was based on the scripture that came through us as we were talking, John chapter 14. What is the essence, the basic idea that comes to your mind from that lesson, and especially when you think of John chapter 14? Anybody? Just briefly. I, right? Where Jesus was talking to his disciples, right? And he said, what? If I will go before you, right? Prepare a place for you, right? Come on. And what? Yeah, that's where I am. So you may be also, what is this I? I am. And imagination. So this whole book, this whole thing, this whole year, let that go. This whole idea is all about imagination. And what we're learning how to do is, before I say that, imagination. And I said that imagination is the vehicle, right? Remember me saying that? Through which it carries. And in it is, I gave you a formula. Imagination equals, what is it? Belief plus faith. Your belief and your faith and your imagination, that imagination goes before you. And what it does, it prepares the way, it creates. It builds, it formulates, it creates ways out of no ways. Stuff out of nothing. There's no conditions, no prerequisites, no required. Imagination is that which does. Is the creation is in it. And what it creates is without any precedence. No precedence. Something that has never been done before this way for you.
That's right.
Unlike
That's right.
anybody else. Why? Because of your uniqueness.
That's right.
God ain't never made nothing like this before.
That's right. That's right.
So you don't care about what it is that you're dealing with. You don't care about what it is that you need. You don't care about how things have worked for anybody else has nothing to do with you, and how things are not working for anybody else has absolutely nothing to do with me.
That's right. That's so true.
Why? Because I am a peculiar.
Yes.
A peculiar thing that's showing up at this time, for such a time as this.
That's right.
And
Yes. Yes.
I have an awesome God
Awesome.
who knows my needs even before I am aware of the need. When the need shows up, he's making me aware of this is
That's
what
right.
you need.
That's right.
This is what's waiting for you. That's called my desire.
Yes.
That's because my desire. That's because my want, my need showing up. And when it shows up, we learn here that it is what? Already done. The bill has already been paid. The cost has already been paid. The people who were designed to be in my life to bring this forth are already sitting in place waiting for me to get my mine.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That's when we talked about mental atmospheres.
That's right.
Mental atmospheres. So somebody asked the question, what's blocking my success? How am I sabotaging it? How do I? Well, I said, Ernest Holmes says in the book, now what's helping me to recall it is Reverend Gerald's message 2 Sundays ago, because they're dealing with the law of operation as the theme for the month. I remember him quoting Ernest Holmes from the book in the chapter where he says, in essence, whatever it is going to pop out and express itself as soon as you get your thoughts mind.
That's right.
In alignment with that, and it's going to express it.
That's right.
So that's why I talked about mental atmospheres. So in mental atmospheres, so you can go, if you have the CD, if you don't have the CD, you have the YouTube. If you don't have that, you have the pass outs. And if you don't have it, it's on the table. The reason I talked about mental atmospheres is that I said that the thought came to me when we were going up those stairs to that upper room in meditation. I listened to the CD later and I said, we need to talk about something else too. Is that, you know, in this thing called this spiritual stuff, you don't get something for nothing.
That's right. Exactly.
This stuff that we're doing has a cost.
Yep.
It has a price.
Yes, it does.
And the problem that we have, I'm still, this is the last lesson of the series on meditation, guidelines for meditation. Because when I started on the series of meditation, I thought that what we were going to do is just actually do the practice for a few weeks of the guided meditation. And when I got into it, I said, we're not ready for that. We have to do a series on instructions for guided meditation. And that's what we've been dealing with for the last 4 or 5 weeks, our instructions. This whole set is our instructions. And this is the last week on that. The first lesson was the finishing room. The second was creative visualization. I am in Barbados. And the third was mental atmospheres. And today wraps this series up on instructions. So we are taking our time to say, let's review the things that we talked about in this series. Because the series that preceded that was Feeling is the Secret. We're still dealing with Feeling is the Secret. But these instructions in guided meditation are further, the instructions here are further helping you to get into the feeling, into the right feeling while you are in this guided meditation process. So we're still dealing with Feeling is the Secret. When we talked about creative visualization, we used the anchoring material from Neville when he was talking about I am in Barbados. I am in Barbados was simply helping us to remind ourselves that we have to get into the feeling of now, the feeling of already having it, the feeling that it is already done, the feeling of I am walking, I am actually living in my dream fulfilled now.
Yes.
I am living and
Yes.
experiencing
Yes.
my healing right now.
Yes.
I am sleeping with the
Yes.
boo that I've been waiting for all my life
Hello.
right now. You know,
Yes.
I am going on vacation on
Yes.
the ship and or whatever with my boo right
Yes.
now. I am feeling myself debt free
Yes.
right now.
Yes.
I owe no man.
Nobody.
And also, nobody owes me. You got to
That's
free up everybody and
That's
everything
right.
that you think owing to. I am
That's right.
free.
I am free.
I am totally healed and at peace about this
Yes, I-
situation right now. It's done, it's over, it's in the past, it's dead and gone. You got, so that's what I am in Barbados. Remembering that story. It is already done. That was one of our lessons. And a world of your own. You got to go back and review all of this stuff. Now, it's time to go into the practice of it. I gave you a pass out, sent it to your email, and I think some of you have mailed it. Did some of you get it in the mail? You did or did not? Okay. And it was the form that you have today, I think. Did we have it? Okay. It's called Guideline, Creative Visualization, 21-Day Healing Meditation. You have that. It's on the table this morning, so you have that. This we're going to look at today. Oh, you have it today. It's on the table. Let's just keep on going. So do you have it? It says Creative Visualization, 21-Day Healing Meditation. So starting tomorrow, we're going to practice this in group consciousness. And it's called, Tessa here needs a copy of 21-Day Healing Meditation. Are we in agreement with that?
Yes.
That's the market.
Now, where did that thought come from? Who knows? When we do the 21-Day Healing Meditation. It comes out of Neville's reading, stuff that you have. He gave examples of the stories that he shared in there, how people practice this. And especially in the passage that you have now that I said we're going to deal with next week. He gives some examples there of how individuals use this. They demonstrated miracles in their lives and how it was that they lived in the consciousness and the presence of the desire fulfilled for 21 days. And then the things manifested. You see. So, let me make sure everybody has it. Now, as a group here, in group consciousness, we're all supporting each other. Do you ever see the faces of different ones in here when you're not present from week to week?
Yes. Yes.
Do you know why? I'm not asking you to answer the question. I'm asking rhetorical questions. Rhetorical means to me that you already know the answer and I'm just reminding you. Let me tell you what's happening. If you, I'm going to put it this way, think of, then I'm going to give you a translation of that. If you think of Joanne, how many of you think of Joanne sometimes and she comes to your mind? How many of you, you see Daphne, you think of her, whatever. Do you know what's happening? She might not know it. She might not know it. But her spirit is coming to you.
Of course.
So my next question is, what do you do when that happens?
You pray for him.
No. That's what you say.
That's great.
That's what you say.
You receive
That's what I said, that's what you say.
So we ignore it.
But no, what you should do is pray for them.
What?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Was your head up?
Is that the finishing room?
Yeah, oh, thank you. See, thank you. She said, was that the finishing room? Now, what we have to learn is, remember I said something earlier, and I said that the challenge today, and the lesson that we want to convey today, clearly, is that we want to learn how to live this thing. Feeling is the secret. We don't want to do this on Tuesdays.
Right.
When you think about it on Wednesday or Thursday or sometime one day before you come back here, that's where the problem is the disconnect. Have you heard of the idea that's called 24/7? 360. The idea is complete, whole, non-stop. We want to get to the position where we don't stop and start, and there's stop and start, stop and start, stop and start, on and turn the light on, off and on, off and on. When I think of, that's not creative visualization, that's not creative feeling is a secret. 21 days means, in this 21 days, this is 24/7, 7 days a week, 31 days a month, 60 seconds out of the minute. That's training. That's mind training. Not when you think about it. You're never not thinking about your answer, your demonstration, whatever you're praying for. And you will always live them. When you read these stories about Neville and these people demonstrating these miracles, they are practicing it. Well, the Bible says it like this. Pray without ceasing. I didn't make that. We didn't make that up there. Pray without ceasing. When you do this, your mind is always occupied.
Right.
Now, the law of physics equal to the law of metaphysics, two things cannot occupy the same space at the same time. And guess what cannot be in that space? Unanswered prayer.
That's right. That's right. It can't be.
Unanswered prayer can't be where the thought of answered prayer is.
That's right. That's right.
The ego in its works cannot be where the word you said the Holy Spirit is always on my mind. The Holy Spirit is always speaking through me. I'm always moving forward. And in that thinking, what happens is, anytime anything shows up as a problem, it's part of the answer.
Amen. That's so true. So true.
Just a redirect.
That is so true.
Change paths.
Yep.
Redirect.
Yep.
He said in the word. And if you leave God's path and go astray, you will hear a voice.
Hello.
You say, no, this is the way. Walk here.
Yes. Yes.
But if you got the light off for a minute,
You ain't going
if
here.
you're taking a break,
That's right.
you're taking a wrong path.
That's right.
You're going to start misunderstanding what's going on. Mislabeling, misnaming,
Yep.
and then you're off into a chapter. Break.
That's right. And they're done.
Visiting darkness, the ego, taking a break. Sometimes it takes a lot of work to get back where you shouldn't have in the first place. So we're talking about feeling is the secret. You're feeling it constantly, always.
Yes. Yes.
My answer is unfolding. Well, we said here, I'm answering questions that you've asked me, and somebody, a couple of people put that's the prayer box back there, and I asked you to pick up a card and write down what you're working on. You don't have to put your name on it. That gives me an idea of what you're working on, so when I'm talking, I can make my talk specific. You take this and try to make it specific with what you're saying and doing. But one question was, when we go with this, is about how do I, in creating your visualization, this exercise was to serve as a draft for you to use, to where you, in the end, you have an outline, just a skeleton, just a draft. This is not fixed. It's just something to make your mind more finite in terms of words that you're speaking and what you're seeing in your mind as you're describing what's going on in that finishing room, the end. And so someone's asked me about, I'm having trouble with including this in the detail, and should I incorporate this or should I not do this? And I'm saying, number one, I can't answer that. But before you even ask that question, my answer to that without trying to figure out an answer for that is this, is that that is not as important as what you're writing all this stuff down to create that dialogue, that narrative, that those words that you're going to use in your creative visualization. It's the bottom line. As long as whatever you're saying, even if it's a one line or a series of lines, or just talking it out, it doesn't matter. As long as it is conveying the purpose, as long as it's conveying the essence of, I got it. I'm here, I've arrived, I'm living in it, I'm doing it, I'm feeling it. Whatever you need to write or describe for that, as long as it gets you to the point, I smell it, I taste it,
Yep.
I am it,
Yep.
I couldn't walk, but I'm walking now.
That's right.
I couldn't run, but I'm running now.
Yep.
You know, whatever. I smell like it, I taste like it, I hear it.
Yes.
I see it, I'm feeling it, I'm sensing it. I just know, and I know that I know without a doubt.
Yes.
And whatever you're doing, as long as it conveys that feeling, is what's important.
That's right.
Feeling is the secret.
Yes.
Mine works like this. I see myself standing at this podium, praising my God for my answered prayer, and sharing with the group of where I was and where I am now. And I see the face, and I hear it definitely saying, my God, my God. I see them with tissue, wiping their eyes, from joy and excitement of the power of God.
Amen.
See, that's how mine, you know. Now, all the stuff that I used before to get there, it's just whatever came to me.
Right.
I can't answer yours. Do you see? But I went on and on and on. That's what I do when I fall asleep. But I have a lot of stuff that I'm saying sometimes before I get there, but that's how I'm ending up. That's what the feeling, that's the feeling. The feeling of how I feel because that answer has. I've locked into it. Do you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So what I said, and I'm going into journalizing from here, because that's what we want to add to this today to close this series on instructions. What we've been doing is instructions on how to build your guided meditation. Then that's what you practice. So read the lesson that from Neville, There Is No Fiction, and you're going to, it's awesome. Help you practice your 21 days. That's the mindset that you want to be in as you practice your 21-day meditation. And next week, what we're doing is the practice. So I said here in the guideline, use the attached draft. Use this draft. Now the attached draft is something that you already had when we passed it out. You remember with the lines on it? As a guideline, as a working draft, to create your own personal meditation for demonstrating your healing, the change that you are working on in your life, that you want to attract, that you need to attract, or that you need to release, that you desire to manifest or have manifested, etc., etc., etc. All healing is not medical stuff or stuff physically in the body.
That's right.
You know, healing in relationship, whatever healing it is that you're working on. So practice your finished meditation each night before falling asleep. Every one of these demonstrations that this man writes about in this book is these people are practicing it as they fall asleep. Am I right? And then, what I was talking about up to this point, when you wake up, live it. Stay in it. Don't wait till you fall asleep. Don't only wait till you fall asleep to practice this. When you wake up, live in that state that you fell asleep in. And then, Habakkuk, the book of Habakkuk is in the Old Testament. Habakkuk, Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 2. It says, write the vision. Write the vision. And it says, make it plain upon tablets, so that everyone who passes you by may read it. Now, how many, I don't want you to respond, I'm just asking you a question to think about it. Keep a journal. And if you do, I'm answering that more than likely, if you go back to read it, you probably have 3 entries for the month or for the past year, and you say you keep a journal. But we need to make a change for the practice of this exercise. Keeping a journal is important. I can give, if I can bring some journal, my personal journals in here, and go back to the 80s and 90s and some recent, and show you some things that were written and how they manifested.
Yep.
I'll take an example of my book, The Spiritual Mind Treatment. In the early 80s, when I was, and then the 90s, it would be the mid-80s and the 90s, I was teaching workshops in the late 80s and 90s. And they were called prosperity workshops. And they were 6 weeks. For 6 weeks. And there was always a waiting list, because my maximum was 16 people. Because it was in, my home. And there was always a waiting list to get into this next upcoming. And you might want to have to wait for 2 or 3 of those 6 weeks before there was a space. You know why? Demonstrations. People were demonstrating, so they reserved to get in there. And they were demonstrating, because of course I was demonstrating usually. I didn't have to lie because they could see. One of the strong rules and principles that we used was the journal. But keeping a journal, and I'm going to tell you why it's so important. Keeping a journal. Well, the book says, write the vision. So you got the vision, did you write it? Or you write it? I need to understand there's a spiritual power in writing.
Yes, there is.
It's a form of communication. It is a
Yeah.
form of communion.
Yes. Yes.
And if you're not using this opportunity and this form and this principle of communion with the Father, you're missing out on so much.
That's right.
It's a spiritual form of communication.
Yes.
And there's something about writing. So a lot of people would say, don't put it in writing. That's what you heard is an admonition. Don't put that in writing. And putting things in writing has got a lot of people in trouble, in jail. Divorce, So there's some things you don't write. That's the power of writing.
Yep.
You can write somebody off. Have you ever heard it? I'll write you off. Have you said, no, I've written him off? I've written her?
Yeah.
And A Dear John letter? Oh, there's power in writing, right?
Yes.
There is power
Yes.
in writing.
Yes. There
Oh,
is.
when you write it, you have done something.
Yes.
So this journal keeping is important and it is powerful in connection
Yes.
with your prayer work.
Yes, it is.
What we're leading to is this. I'm fighting this. I'm trying to keep from telling you something. I told you this before, but I'm going to say it again. I had a cousin when I was in my early adult life. Some of you, I told this story at Guidance. And this cousin was like a sister. I have cousins who are like sisters and brothers. We had that kind of crazy family. And we used to run together. We were in the fast lane. She had a boyfriend who turned out to be crazy. You ever had a situation like that in your family? He was crazy. And he was very jealous. Very, extremely jealous. Would be driving by watching her, going, and she got to the point where she couldn't be with the family as much and run with us as much because of his craziness. And one time he came over, she was still living at home obviously, and she didn't want to go with him. And the mother in the house said, no, you're not going out there. He talked, and she was crazy enough to go out. The family was trying to get her to break up with him, but she was trying, she couldn't. So she walked out to the edge of the what do you call it? Curve. Fence. The
yard.
The yard. And he grabbed her. Oh, he came down at her with a knife, a blade. She grabbed it and just sliced her hand severely. And then after a few weeks, he started trying to find his way back. Now, power of writing goes both ways. Someone told my aunt about a woman who lived somewhere in LA, because we were down Logan Square. Do you remember me telling you this story? Tell the story, guys. How many of you remember me telling the story, guys? And I walked into, I took her there. I didn't know anything. I drove her there. And we walked into this woman's huge house. And we walked in there. First, you smell incense. It was very wooey. I wasn't used to anything like this. And you walked into her little small room. And she was a tall, dark, very dark-skinned lady. And you could tell that she had on was a wig, because it was the kind of hair that didn't look natural. We sit down at her desk and she was talking. And she took out a piece of paper, candles burning, and she gave my aunt the paper to write my cousin's name down 3 times. Then she told him to write his name down, cross that 3 times, or vice versa, whichever way. Now take this and bury it under right there at that gate. This has been 30, 40 years ago, so I don't know all the details. I'm just giving you capturing the essence of the power of writing. He never came back. He just never came back. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now maybe that was the power of suggestion. Obviously, I believe that's what it was. Now, looking back, when I saw it happen then, I wasn't thinking about the power of suggestion of my mind or our minds. I was looking at, ooh. But still, do you see the connection to your prayer work in writing? Writing, there's some help there. But I also tell you another part of that story, that it wasn't long after that. I'm not taking any pride and proud with this, that he was pumping gas in his car. The car blew up. And that was the end of him. I interpret that how you want. But I'm talking about the positive power of writing. What you say? What you say? What do you
I
say?
said, were you there with a match or what?
Was I there with a match? I don't know. But her problem was gone. Do you hear what I'm saying? It was his own evilness that caused it and set it in motion. But we're talking about your protection. Your protection. And we're talking about, let's just dismiss all of that to come back to here, but I use that as an example to say the power of writing in your spiritual journal, you can call it forth. And the story about the book that I was telling you about, I had in my diary years before, I had drawn on some pages the cover of my book, a series of books that I was going to write. It was the diagram and everything with the title. After I completed writing the Spiritual Mind Treatment, it was years later that I went back to read my journals, and there was the cover of the book, matching the cover of the Spiritual Mind Treatment. There was the cover of the book from what I had written years ago in my journal, saying that I will write these books. The power of that journal. And so, practice your finished meditation each night before falling asleep for a cycle of 21 days or until your desire is manifested. That means that it does not always have to take 21 days. Until your desire is manifested, it could be after these 21 days. You know, it could be the third day, fourth day, by then or after. So don't get locked into the 21 days that for your miracle, your manifestation of things to happen. It's just that we're going to practice it for 21 days.
Do you only focus on one thing, or
Can you only focus on one thing? You answer that. That's your, you don't, however you're being led, however you feel, however you feel, there's a way that the wording of the description of it will come to you and come through you to do so if that is what you're doing. Mm-hmm. See, this is the whole idea of living it, is that you just follow your spirit, and whatever's coming out of your mouth, what it is that you're seeing. I mean, like we work on 100 things. I don't know, And for some people, the feeling of working on one thing probably is centered around the idea of the severity of that thing, the urgency of that thing, and they are focusing on this one thing because they don't need to think about it. I need to work on this. Well, that's the answer for them, you see. Return to your draft frequently after each night's just visit and what? Communion. Remember, you're in communion. Write the vision on the tablet. Make it plain so everyone that passes it may read it. Well, everyone that passes it could be very well, I said at night, sometimes the spirit of someone in your visit you or where they're passing, they're reading it. You're living between two worlds, remember? You have visitors from the other side who are in your room reading your stuff. It is done unto you as you believe. How many of you don't believe it then? They don't remember. That's done unto you as you believe. I believe it. It says, return to your draft frequently after each night's, this is in your journal. Once you get this thing to a point of finality, then write it in your journal. This that you've written out, write it in your journal. Write that creative visualization. Write that vision, that visualization in your journal. 20 days from now, you might change it. Go ahead, change it. Edit it, change it in your journal. Keep a record of it, and sometimes go back 2 months ago and look at what you wrote, and now look at how it has evolved and morphed now. Write the vision. You will receive instructions every night. How many times have you quoted that scripture, Job 33? In a vision, in a dream, in the night. He whispers in your ears and sealeth your instructions. Well, when you wake up in the morning, sit up. Get that pen. Get that book that's laying next to you and write what you are sensing and recalling and feeling. 6:15 a.m. Spirit is saying to me, I dreamed, and this is what I dreamed. Oh. How many dreams have you captured? How many dreams have you written? I think it's legal to have a journal going on in your computer. You got your laptop there, you got your computer, go ahead and. For me, this is writing. I can just close my eyes. Those fingers are going, buddy. Oh yeah. My hand is ahead, my mind and my stuff is ahead of my fingers. My fingers can't go fast enough to capture what I'm seeing, right? Now, when you are recording this dream, realize that you're capturing what you saw, what you heard, what you experienced, what you felt. Did you feel, and yes you did, you had the feeling of already being there. You had the feeling of already healed. You had the feeling of already having it. You had the feeling of already doing it, and you saw players. Do you know if you wait too long, you'll forget who you saw and who was there? You forget, and what happens? Their whole disposition, their whole appearance will fade away, and you can't remember. You say, well, "Who was that? Who was that?" You see. But if you get up in the morning and capture it, this is helping you to live the situation. Then it's helping you to crystallize it. Then it's helping you to be in it and stay in it and hold on to it. Write it. Grab it. Hold on to it. And it says that it's sealed your instructions. Now, what are you thinking? Feeling is a secret. What are you thinking when you are writing it? That's important. Feeling is the secret. There's a communion that's going on. There's a conversation that's going on in your mind as you are writing it. So all these things are helping you to pull it down. Pull it down. Pull it down from heaven to earth. From heaven to earth. From heaven to earth. Bring it down from the world of invisibility into the world of visibility. That's what this writing is helping you do. That's why the journalizing is important. You will receive, what's that word say? The next slide. In both revisions. You will receive revisions to your dream. So now, this that you have finalized in your draft, you can rewrite. Rewrite what you said 2 or 3 days ago in your finishing room, or what you feel yourself doing, what you feel yourself having, how you smell, how you do it. He'll revise it. Rewrite it. You're not stuck with what you wrote last week. Rewrite it. Because you're going to you're receiving guidance, you're receiving instructions. While this is going on day to day, day to day, in this 21-day process, what are you feeling? Feeling is the secret. Sometimes something is going on. I don't know what. Things are changing. Things are changing. So much so that the next time I go to the doctor about this situation, stuff doesn't change in my body, in my cells, in my fluids, in my sinews, in my organs, in my blood. Things are in my eyes, in my stuff, whatever. You know, feeling is the secret. This situation as it regards my finances, you know, stuff is shifting around. And somebody's mind is being infected. I didn't say affected. Somebody's mind somewhere is being infected with a virus. With a virus. And it's going to so mess up their minds and rearrange things to where they won't even know why they're doing what they're doing when they come to me, when they call me, when I get this cue, when I get this direction, when I get this and that, or when I'm writing this check. A lady came to my house a couple of days ago and said, I just wanted to come and give you this. It was $200 bills. And yesterday, there was a truck driving down the street, and the man had done compost in my yard for the grass about 2 years ago, or 3. But I've been looking at the lawn and said, I need some fertilizer. But he had passed my house because I was just driving up, and I guess he had been to my door. But he was near the end of the block. So I turned around and I said, hey, need your service. He came around after he did that yard. And so after he did all of the bags, how much is that? $200. Folks don't know why they're doing what they're doing. You have a need. And you don't know it yet. How it's going to come about. Now, what would the average person do? Let me see how much I have. I'm going to have to save up for this, set this aside for that. Or this is going to have to come out of this or that. I don't think like that. It is done unto you as you believe. Do you see? But I talked about mental atmospheres, didn't I?
Yes.
And I said, you don't get something from nothing. I said, some people believe in magic. Now, as I just said that, some people will sit in and wait for that to happen to them, but they haven't done what I do. I've paid the cost. I've already paid the price for that. How? It's called prepaid. Prepaid assurance, not insurance. It's called prepaid assurance. How? By what I do all the time. With every opportunity that I see. I'm paying it forward. I already paid for that. Just by blessing somebody. Even if it doesn't come out of my hand and release materially, I'm giving all the time, every opportunity that I see. Just like I say, if your spirit comes to me, you don't have to call me and say, I need to talk about this, or I'll pray. No, I already done it. I already know before you know, because your spirit visits you. And so I say, I bless you. See, it's a candle that never goes out. Do you see? And as far as the tithe thing, I'm an ex-tither. I used to tithe. I stopped tithing a long time ago when I was doing those prosperity workshops. I continued to practice what I was preaching. Tithes to me are training wheels. You use that to train yourself through the law of tithing. And the law of tithing means at least 10% back to your source or sources. And that lifts you up above the law to love. And when you give from law, you give 10%. But when you give from love, 10% is a limitation. You see, to free your mind to unlimited and good and blessings, you don't limit your God to 10%. You give according to your spirit, and you look for opportunities, so you don't even keep track. If you start keeping track of what you give, you give it 20, 30%. Am I right, Miss Jean? I'm looking at a demonstrator of this stuff. Are you following me? So mental atmospheres is very important here, is that feeling is the secret. How do you feel? Do you feel like something is blocking you? Do you feel like something is impeding you? Do you feel like there's something that you do it? Do it. Do you feel like you need to let something go? Mental, as long as that is in your middle, it's not going to work. Because it's going to come to you. In your spiritual journal, it will come to you. I need to do this, do that. He'll tell you when you sleep, let it go. Forgive, release. Somebody's coming the next day to make you mad. What are you going to do? Ain't no me. And some people just have this attitude of that, oh, well, that's just me. I am who I am, and I'm not going to change. Have you ever heard that?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I'm not going to change. That's who I am. Well, that's why. That's why. So you can pray and pray and pray and pray and go up in that finishing room and just go get the baby when you're begging. You're begging. You're a beggar. And you believe in magic. There's no such thing as magic. You got to do something. You got to pay something. There's a cost to this. It's not free. You believe in magic. No, you got to do something. And guess what? And the more you do change your mental atmosphere, then you feel deserving, and then you feel worthy, and you feel like, hey, and then whatever is still there, don't bother you until this time has come to leave and change. If it's still there, so what? Doesn't mean you have to worry about it. It doesn't mean that you have to be in fear about it. It doesn't mean that you have to, you see what I'm saying? It's time to leave. It's just waiting for me to do whatever I'm supposed to be doing, or stop doing whatever it is that I need to stop doing, or do more. Do you see? But we want to be healed and still drink the whiskey bottle all night, every night. We want to be healed and eat the pork chop every night, every morning. You know, we want to be healed and give me some more therapy. Yeah, keep on cussing and keep on being mad and keep on fighting and keep on sleeping with your switchblade on your pillow. You know. And you still want the healing to manifest. That's magic. It can happen. You need to go to that woman that I went to 40 years ago. She can take care of that. Because it can still happen. It is done unto you as you believe. So then, Job 33:15, he speaks in dreams, in visions of the night, when deep sleep falls upon people as they lie in their beds, right? Your prayer must be answered if you assume the feeling that would be yours were you already in possession of your objective. The moment you accept the wish as an accomplished fact, the subconscious finds means for its realization. To pray successfully then, you must yield to the wish that is. You must yield to the wish that is. Feel the wish fulfilled. And then that other page is just whether is the draft. And so it is.
So it is.
And so it is. So tell me how this helped you. What do you want to do differently? Let's share with the group something that's already working, something that's already changed and manifested in your life. However, but let's make it brief because you went to overtime. Overtime means double donation.
So for the $200 that you pay.
Yes, sir.
How much did you pay the compost man?
It was right under $200. It was right under 200. How much did I pay the compost man? But it was right under $200. But you know what he ended up doing when I finished paying it? He went and got me 2 extra bags to go under these palm trees. Where I had told him to stop because he had those bags. You pay per bag, and you know they're gonna put it anyway. So I said that's enough because these other 2 are very healthy. So he went and got another 2 bags and did the other palm trees that he had not included. Do you see? Anyway, and then you were going to say something.
Well, I feel like I'm living the vision of my imagination. On February 14th, Valentine's Day, I had an experience where I was coming from my doctor's office and I was just seeing myself in my new car, and bam, bam, thank you, ma'am, I had a car accident, which I'm calling an incident, not an accident.
Good.
And what I had the opportunity to do once the stars left me circling around my head was to realize that God has ways that I know none of to bring about the manifestation for me to have my new car. So when I went to bed one night soon after that, I asked God what was I going to do about, because my car was said to be totaled. And when I woke up in the morning, God told me to start a GoFundMe site. So I've set one up. But I'm just in the vision, allowing it to unfold, because I wanted a new car.
I just wanted to say this 21 day that we starting tomorrow. Tomorrow's the 21st.
Oh, wow. That's nice. Tomorrow's the 21st, and we're starting our 21-day vision tomorrow. Thanks for sharing that.
Well, you know, like you said, you're supposed to imagine that you already have something, and sometimes it kind of slips my mind to do that. But I got a letter saying that a job I worked years ago, I was going to get retirement benefits. And I needed to call them. So I thought it was going to be like $45. It's going to be $200, and I really need that, because when I retired, it was actually in faith. So, you know, you just, and I know by now that it's going to be, but sometimes that little doubt gets in there.
Yeah. Let's close after this. No, go ahead, and then we'll close it because of the time.
First of all, I want to thank you. And I was doing the visualization, and somebody who had owed me money manifested the money that they owed, part, you know, the money. And what happened was I needed some right after that. I was going to get a car, my car, an oil change, and they said, you know, you need a serpentine belt.
Yeah, that's
So that's important, and it's burning away. And so I was like, and some filters. So the money was there now to be able to do that, whereas if I hadn't had that happen prior to her giving me the money, I wouldn't have had the money to be able to take care of it. And so, you know, God's there, and I also have just, you know, I just have had so many miracles of that, you know, of things like that happening to me.
Yeah.
And just knowing. But I did have a very strange dream, and I don't, and I remember it, but it was like my girlfriend's baby, somebody like wanting to put some, going into a store, and I was with this baby, and they wanted to do a christening right there, and they put a gigantic cross on her, and I said, don't do that, it's too heavy for the baby, and I'm trying to take this off, and she's trying to do this thing that, no, she needs it to protect her from evil spirits. And I said, I don't believe in that stuff. And I said, oh, she's going to get a christening at my church where it's positive. And I have no idea why I dreamt that, but I did a prayer for the baby anyway, and I did a prayer for the mom when I woke up. So I don't know if that's like when you say you think about somebody.
And you pray for it.
You pray for them.
Yeah. I'm going to close with this.